And away we go. It is the BCJ podcast presented by the Holy Grail right here on BearcatJournal.com. You know the drill. When you're downtown, make sure you stop and visit our good friends at the Holy Grail when you are anywhere near the banks. Get a delicious meal, lunch, dinner, maybe some Reuben wontons, get a snack, delicious pizza, and all kinds of ice-cold beverages, including Cincy Light. Every Cincy Light that you buy from the Holy Grail, they will go above and beyond and donate an additional 50 cents to Cincy Reigns. So support those that are supporting us and supporting the Bearcat Athletic Program. Hi, Dave.
Hello.
How you doing?
Doing well. Merry Christmas. I know it's a couple days late, but hope you guys had an enjoyable one.
It was good. It's not easy, but got to figure out a way to get through it, and we did a good job. The kid was happy. She has a new understanding of how Christmas works, Dave.
Oh, she does.
Yeah. I'm not going to attempt to pretend to know like the fashion trends of a 13-year-old girl. If you want clothes, we're going to go out and you're going to buy clothes. and you're going to there's not going to be a whole lot of surprises on Christmas anymore, honey.
Seems like the most time efficient way to go about it.
Yeah, but Kelly didn't care. Kelly would buy her clothes that she didn't like. Well, I'm not. That's not Dad's style. You can get clothes, but they are going to be clothes that you pick out. Also, I'm terrible at wrapping presents, so she wrapped all of her presents this year. Yeah. She wrapped all of her own presents.
I don't do any wrapping.
Yeah.
If it was up to me, you wouldn't wrap anything, or you'd have a bag Christmas. So
yeah, I mean everything's in a box. Like there's the box.
Drawstring gift bags on Amazon. You just buy a shit ton of them, and you throw everything in its own little drawstring gift bag. It's fantastic. That's what we're doing.
Do they have Christmas designs?
Yes.
Okay. Then
I'll shoot you the link for next year. Yeah. I'll shoot you the link.
Remind me next year, and that's what we'll be doing. Gotcha. Because I'm not a gift wrapper, and I'm not I don't frivolous shop. Like I don't think, oh, this would be great in the stocking. Nah, fam. Nope. If you want it, you're gonna have to tell me exactly what you want and exactly where to get it. That might ruin some of the fun of Christmas, but it is what it is.
I agree.
That's right, Adele. Boys are easier. Like, here's a pair of jeans. Here's a couple, like, UC shirts. Like, Merry Christmas.
Well, I got dogged this year, so as some know, we do a big Christmas Eve at my parents' house where everybody in the family spends the night. There's like 18 of us now or something, maybe even more. And I got dogged. I got dogged for having not a very exciting and interesting list. I was like, there was nothing that I wanted. Why is that like a bad thing?
Right.
So
well, you're like me. Guess what happens if you want something?
Go buy it.
Go buy it. and even more, like especially now, like, oh, I need this. Boop, boop, boop. Order, cart, pay, send.
There's not a lot of stuff at this point that I'm like waiting to Christmas to get. If I want it that bad or I need it that bad, I just buy it. But
I got a new chair.
There you go. Chairs. It's a very important thing.
And Kelsey bought me a bottle of double oaked Woodford Reserve.
Wonderful. Stocked up on my Jeff Ruby's gift cards again. It's like the one thing I asked for.
It's the only thing you ever asked for.
I know. And I buy them for myself because they're 20% off. So I buy some for myself and then I ask for them and, So
look, last year it resulted in dinner for me and Kelsey. So Like, keep it coming. If you want to invite us again this year, we can make a tradition of it.
I don't know. I think that was your one and only trip on me, and it wasn't even on me, on my family.
On your family. Your family bought me dinner. It was great.
Yeah,
it's delightful.
We had we do Christmas Eve at our house, like my personal house. Like Christmas Eve morning is when Santa comes to our house. And so Will decided he wanted to get up at 3 a.m. and came in and goes, "Can we go downstairs? Has Santa been here yet?" And I rolled over and I'm like, "What time is it?" And I look at my phone, it's 3:05, and I go, "Absolutely not. Get in bed. He's probably hasn't even been here yet."
Right. And if you go down now, you could screw it up.
Right. So we somehow got him back to sleep till almost 7, which was fine. But he was very much into Santa this year.
So I woke up at like 7. We go to my dad's for breakfast, like a brunch, late breakfast brunch type deal. And usually we're there at like 10:30. So I woke up at 7, and there was no indication that Kelsey had woken at that point. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna crash for a couple more minutes, and then I'll get up and we'll get going. Woke up at 9:15. And we had to leave my house at like 9:50 to go pick up Kelly's mom and make it down.
That's all right.
But we got it done. Presents were opened. Shower was taken. We got to Kelly. I told Kelly's mom that I would be there at 10 o'clock. I got there at 10:02. I was like,
yeah, Joshua,
that's getting it done.
Definitely not well done with ranch.
That's called the Corleone. And it's not on the menu.
That's one Godfather order that I will not be trying.
Gift cards and money. That's what all the cousins in my family got from Chad this year.
I got gift cards to... I mean, my Christmas at this point was extremely exciting. I got new sheets for our bed, a Home Depot and Amazon gift card, and gift cards to Jeff Ruby's. Thrilling. It was exactly as everything I asked for. So
I got a pair of UC pajama pants. I got a couple things for the kitchen. Some sauces and spices.
We got a new dual zone air fryer.
Nice. The two shelf, two drawer.
Yeah, the two trays. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't messed with those because I don't really do a lot of like double air fryer cooking. That's very specific, it seems like.
It's nice though. They have them now where
they get done at the same time.
Same time, yep.
I looked at one when we were out shopping last week, and Kelsey was like, "You do not need a new air fryer." And I was like,
I did.
It's not about what I need.
Did pork chop and asparagus tonight, and they were both pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's not about what I need. It's my money. It's about what I want.
Yeah. But anyway.
All right. Yeah. Let's do some sports. We did
a lot of sports last week, and you guys did some sports last night with not much going on. I don't know how much sports we're going to get in here.
Yeah, I have a question for you. This isn't. I'm in for Mo tomorrow.
Okay.
So I want your opinion on a topic. It's kind of Bengals specific, but I think we can kind of branch it out into. I can tie it into something else I saw today as it relates to the Big 12. Obviously, yesterday, everybody was in their feels about the Steelers game and about being 0-5 in the division.
Don't let me in with those people.
And opining that maybe this franchise has gone away from physicality that is necessary in this division. In an effort to, be able to beat the Chiefs, which are spread you out, push, not this version of the Chiefs because they stink, but looking at looking down the road, like how did the Bills play? How did the Chiefs play? The teams that were at the top of the conference that were going to be potentially in your way
Okay.
to a Super Bowl, or do you continue doing what you're doing, which is, building a roster it might struggle a little bit in the division, but it's going to be really good against everybody else and gives you the best opportunity to win in the playoffs and win, an opportunity to get to the Super Bowl.
I mean, my response would be people seem to have really, 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 really short memories.
Well, I think Zach Taylor is 10-20 against the AFC North in his career.
They've won it the last 2 years.
Yes, but their records in the division have not been great.
But they still somehow won it 2 years in a row.
Right.
So, and yes, the Ravens are having quite a good year, but I don't know. I mean, I'm just always so much about quarterback that it's very hard for me to take any sweeping assessments of an NFL team when the guy who had top 3 or 5 MVP odds coming into the season plays in half the games. I don't know if you really just go we have to totally reinvent who we are all of a sudden.
Well, the first two were the first 2 games of the year, right? Where he was clearly not healthy.
Yeah, I mean, he was,
Then he got hurt against Baltimore and then missed the 2 Steelers games. Which, they're 0-5 in the division and 8-2 against everybody else, including...
Yeah, that's my big hope, is I've been joking about this, with my friend group or whatever, that I hope which I don't think it's possible, but it would be absolutely hilarious if they could go 0-6 in the division and make the playoffs.
Yeah, they would have had to,
It seems like that's...
they
still have... as ridiculous as it sounds, they still, I guess, apparently, according to these projection thingies, have a 92% to make the playoffs if they win their last 2 games.
Yeah, but then they'd have to beat the Browns, and they would be 1-5 in the division.
Sure. And they never...
I don't think they can get in at 9-7.
They probably can't. But...
mainly because they're 0-6 in the division, and conference record is
they're 8-7 right now. They would be 9-8 if they lost to the...
Or 9-8. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Either way, I don't think that... I think that's a bridge way too far for me. I think this offseason for them is going to be incredibly interesting because you have some key veteran guys that I just don't think they can re-sign. And then you have the potential of both your offensive coordinator and quarterback coach being gone. You have the potential that I forget it. It's not, it might be Troy Brown. They have a sneaky kind of guy right under Duke Tobin that I think is going to get a bunch of chances to maybe be a GM this year. And then what does that change with your personnel staff? If he gets a GM job, does he hire someone from their staff to go be his director of player personnel or something like that? That would be an elevation, a promotion. So there's just a ton of very, very, obviously the T. Higgins stuff. What do you do there? There's a ton of interesting things revolving this offseason. But, the defense hasn't been good. They've given up more big plays than anybody ever. Probably a lot because the secondary is so new. I think I like a lot of the pieces, but it's still a bunch of super young guys. So, I don't think that tells me that they aren't physical. And I don't know what do you mean? How do you get more physical? You're still gonna
right.
You're still gonna be a Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, whatever they do at wide receiver type of offense.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's an interesting topic for a radio show because I think you'll get some kind of harebrained, off the wall, knee jerk comments about it. But I'm just in practicality. I'm not sure how and really why.
Well, I just don't think Zach's style is smash mouth.
The way that the AFC is going, does anyone really think if Burrow was healthy, they would not make the playoffs?
Right.
And then they'd be right back in there where all of us would sit here and go, they're tested. They've done this before. They've gone on the road before. Like, nobody's done what they've done. So, like, you know, to me, it's kind of that simple.
Here's the bridge to the Big 12 I was talking about. And this kind of came from this morning or yesterday. Devin Neal saying he's coming back to Kansas. And the Big 12 potentially bringing back Ollie Gordon, Taj Brooks, RJ Harvey, Devin Neal, Corey Kiner, and I think there was another 1,000-yard guy in there. And somebody mentioned the Big 12 being like where most of the innovation in football has come offensively. Right? Like it's the spread like really took hold in terms of at the major level, the spread took hold in the Big 12. Yeah. And the comment was, if you want to see where football's going, it often starts in the Big 12. The wide zone power run stuff is a direct answer to two high shells, and way more will be running it soon. For me, this has always been an interesting conversation about the ebb and flow of sports, right? Like, for the longest time, it was run, run, run. So everybody had to have these big physical power linebackers that could fill gaps and, you know, hit and really didn't have a lot of lateral movement or ability to drop. And then the spread comes in. Now you're talking about you're 3 offensive linemen and 2 linebackers, and everybody else has to be able to cover. Everybody's getting smaller.
It's what we've talked about for several years, even going back to the Fickle era. It was the 3-3-5 to combat the spread and the up tempo and having, you know. And what did I always say? Yeah, it's fine, but I felt like you could, you know, against a good team, which, you know, in this case it was Tulsa a lot. It was like, yeah, that's great, but you have to give up something. And in that case, you're giving up a whole lot of 6 and 7 yard runs on first down. And now that's what we're seeing.
Field position.
The teams that are playing the 3-3-5 or that, you know, and in the Big 12, there are still several that do. And you're seeing a bunch of teams that, you know, want to run the ball.
And are really freaking good at it.
Yeah, I mean, you had, off the top of my head, UC, West Virginia, UCF. Kansas. I don't know if they finished over 200, but I know at least those 3 finished over 200, averaging over 200 yards rushing.
Kansas is way up there, whether they were over or not. They were right there.
Kansas is up, you know, in that range.
Kansas State ran it a lot. Always runs it a lot.
Oklahoma State was probably up there. I mean, yeah, if not over, then right damn near. So yeah, you know, and you see like you were like in UC's case, you recruited a whole bunch of dudes to play AAC football and stop SMU and East Carolina and Houston and UCF, and now those guys are still on your roster needing to stop, you know, 215, 225 pound Ollie Gordon, you know, CJ Donaldson at West Virginia, both the guys at Kansas, you know, obviously didn't play Texas Tech, but yeah, Taj Brooks is coming back. Like, yeah, you got to get some more size, some more power. Or you're just gonna, you know, teams are just gonna keep running on you.
It's and this is something I want to get to also tomorrow on radio when a UC specific. And actually, let's pay some bills, Dave. Before we get into that, and Aaron, I've got a quick adjustment before you put the scroll up. The new code is BCJ for a team ticker. let's get to our good friends at Team Ticker. It's a one-of-a-kind sports sign for Bearcat fans. If you're looking for the perfect addition to your man cave, your dorm room, a gift, a little post-Christmas gift for that Bearcat fan, if you got a bunch of money for Christmas and you're looking for a way to spend it, get yourself a Team Ticker right now. Enter code BCJ at checkout, and that'll get you $50 off your order. TeamTicker.com. Promo code BCJ. Aaron says Ollie Gordon, Taj Brooks, Amani Bailey, RJ Harvey, Devin Neal, DJ Giddens, Corey Kiner, 1,000-yard rushers in the conference. That ain't a pass-happy league, Dave.
No. No,
if
it's
over
not.
half the teams, or right at half the teams, have a 1,000-yard rusher, yeah, you're a conference that is shifting to okay. And what it maybe I'm wrong on this, like strategically. I think it comes down to safety, right? Like safeties are now they have to run, they have to be able to move their hips, they got to be able to turn and go. You're not seeing box safeties like you used to. You're not seeing safeties that just come screaming down the field to make tackles because they're afraid of one play action and there's a guy running 60 yards free to the end zone.
Right, because
That's
you're typically worried. You're playing right. You're playing too high, and because you're concerned about getting beat down the field in the pass game, and there's a lot of space there for you, to be able to run the ball if you can make the blocks and get off the offensive linemen and onto the linebackers, or if you go heavy or you overload with tight ends or H-backs, like there's a lot of different ways to do it. But when if they're going to keep dropping safeties back, and I think that's kind of we'll see how the guys end up being, but that's where I think this staff is trying with the 24 class is to get much more size in the secondary, so that you can just defend the run a lot better that way, or you hopefully can.
And they also went and got 2 thumpers at linebacker.
Yeah,
like those guys might be athletic and like run and cover or do some of that stuff, but both of those guys are looking to fill gaps and smack people.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting stat from producer extraordinaire Aaron Smith. No one over 1,000 yards coming in from the Pac-12.
Like the entire conference didn't have one, or just the 4 teams.
The guys that are coming in, the 4 teams that are coming in, none of them had a 1,000-yard rusher.
Yeah,
and that league was like, there's maybe no league in the history of leagues that passed as much as that league did this past year.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how their defenses are built to stop the run. That could be a storyline of note next fall. Speaking of storylines of note next fall, David, let's start with football here.
All right.
I don't think New Year's resolutions really works here, but like, what are a couple things that you really think, like, if they are able to accomplish this somewhat small list of things, then they can get this thing, bowl eligible or in a much pointed in a direction much more favorable than the way we all felt to end the season.
It's funny you ask that, because I had actually been thinking about that. And it's not, well, the way I look at it is it's not super far-fetched to see that happening. I don't think there needs to be some unrealistic thing happen or whatever. But I mean, I look at kind of just three things in total, one offensively and two defensively. Like, it's breaking it down pretty pretty basic, but like offensively, I feel good that they're going to be able to run the ball.
Yeah.
Similar to what they did this year, which I don't think, anyone would really say was a problem. I mean, I'm sure there were some games here and there where things
other than short yardage, I think that would be the
complaint. I just mean as a whole.
Yeah, I know.
So offensively, like, if you get better quarterback play and you can run the ball, and that helps you in the play action game a little bit more. And I don't think with the running game the quarterback play has to be like threatening for the Heisman or anything, but you have to cut down on the turnovers and you have to make the plays when they're there. I mean, Emory Jones' stats and maybe some of these game outcomes would have looked a whole lot different if he just hit some of the throws that were there.
Right.
Who that person is, I have no idea. I've never seen Brendan, in live, and I've never seen Sorsby throw a pass. I don't, I have no idea what is going to happen with any other quarterback at this point. Like everything is up in the air to me until we walk into, I guess, Nippert for whatever this first spring practice is. But offensively, if they can get better production from the quarterback, which includes lowering turnovers, I think the offense can have a solid year. Defensively, it's very simple. If you can put a little more on the quarterback while at the same time being a little bit better in pass defense, and I think those two things obviously go hand in hand, I do not see a reason that like this team shouldn't make a bowl game next year. If you can pressure the quarterback a little bit, they didn't do a very good job of it this year, especially in Big 12 play. Got to get better there, and got to get better on the back end. And there were several instances last year that if those things were just a touch better, they probably win games. So I don't think you need to take some meteoric jump. And then that is also helped out by your offensive play and how they produce and how they control a game. And it's not just by time of possession; it's by, again, making the plays when they're there. So I think those three things, like if we're just talking make a bowl game, I think that's absolutely attainable. And they're not like wild things. Like I'm not saying that whoever the quarterback is has to throw 30 touchdowns or.
Right.
The defense obviously has to force more turnovers. Like that was a huge problem. So that's just like a baked in assessment of what I think can be better. That's just understood.
Yeah, I will say we also need to see the run defense look more like it did the first half of the season and not the second half of the season, because it got to a point where we knew they couldn't stop the pass, and then they also couldn't stop the run, and everything just kind of went to shit.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I wonder, in some sense, like, and this would need much more film review and really looking at, like, who was on the field on certain plays. Like, I just wonder how much attention was paid to trying to shore up the pass defense, what that was then hurt, so to speak, what they were trying to do against the run, and teams then just exploited that because they were like, well, they're trying so hard not to get killed over the top, then they're leaving it, they're vulnerable now to the run.
Right. There's a very fine line there between like where the run defense went wrong. Some of it was also they just played the best rushing offenses in the conference in the back half of the schedule.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State, UCF, West Virginia, Kansas, like those were all over those final 6 games or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not like Houston ran the ball at will on them.
No.
Because Houston's run game stunk.
If we're being honest, like watching the games, there were several instances where guys just made bad plays.
Yeah.
So
Effort was a question from.
I mean, not even, I wouldn't even go so as effort, like just not good run fits. Like,
yeah. Well, but that effort is part of that, like getting to your gap, being aggressive in your gap, like breaking down and making a play, or just like getting there half-assed and being like,
yeah,
whatever happens, happens.
right.
It felt like there was too much of that.
But yeah, I think, again, love being in the Big 12, and I think it's a super fun league because as we saw this year, from week to week, who the hell knows? Like with Oklahoma and Texas officially gone, like there will clearly be teams that are projected to be better than others, but there is certainly not, a very early look at it. There is certainly not anybody that I'm looking at and going, man, this team is head and shoulders above the rest of the conference.
Yeah.
So, and that's rarely the case in any other league. I mean, you look at the SEC recently, obviously Georgia. You look at the Big Ten for years. It was Ohio State. Now it's been Michigan for the last couple of years, where like everybody can look at it and go, these guys are like way better than 95% of the league.
Well, and I would also say you will hope you add Sorsby at quarterback. That gives you a guy that looks like a high-level quarterback. You add a highly sought-after running back. Your running back room should look like what it's supposed to look like. I think you're still a tackle. You're not going to look like, if it's John Williams and Buford and Wilder, you do not have what we saw from most of the Big 12 teams at tackle in terms of 6'7", 320 pounds.
Right.
But I think, you should look pretty good at linebacker. You should look pretty good. You should look better at end in terms of the prototypical, like what a Big 12 defensive end looks like. You're not going to be 6'2", 290 there. If the two guys brought in are able to give you what is expected, we'll see at safety and corner. They're not done there.
No,
I think that's pretty obvious. They're still.
But who those pieces end up being is yet to be seen.
Right. It's still stuck in my brain, Dave, watching those teams come onto the field at Nippert, and really outside of UCF and Baylor didn't look as physically imposing as some of the others, but Kansas and Iowa State and Oklahoma and who am I forgetting? They played 5 home games.
Yeah.
Kansas, Iowa State, Baylor, UCF, Oklahoma. Okay, that's all of them. But yeah, those 3 looked significantly different. They were just bigger and longer and more athletic than Cincinnati. It was evident in warm-ups. Like if you were down there on the field watching those 2 teams warm up, I remember the reaction in the Oklahoma game where we were standing down on Oklahoma's side pregame, and some people I was standing there talking with were all like, "Oh man,
oh yeah,
this is what recruiting at the highest level looks like, huh?" What's the old Sesame Street? One of these things is not like the other. That was the case.
I mean, those guys have been recruiting, for how many years with the making the college football playoff goal in mind.
Of course, I'm not saying it's like there's not a reason for it. There's clearly a reason for it, but also just from looking, it looked a lot different. It did not look similar at all. What else on the football side you want to get to for New Year's resolutions, Dave? Anything? Get Xavier Henderson a number 2, like a bona fide, legit number 2. I think they're okay in the slot. I think with Aaron Turner and Barry Jackson, I think you're going to be fine in the slot. I think you're fine with Xavier Henderson as your number 1. They did not get enough out of the guys that tried to fill that role at the 2, especially D Wiggins.
D Wiggins, Donovan Ollie, can Evan Prater make a mark there? In the stuff that I follow, they're not really too active with wide receiver right now. They've had a couple guys come in and visit.
I think they got what they wanted, like they quote unquote got their guy.
Yeah, I mean, is
that they think it's going to
Cody Johnson going to be the guy? I like I like all the freshmen, but the 2 that I like the most are more slot guys. So that probably doesn't really play into a factor there. But yeah, I mean, just more weapons, whether it's what you would quote unquote call a number 2, whether it's another tight end, whether it's, I'll take it. I'll take running. I think they're still interested. they offered a kid from Grambling yesterday that kind of fits into that more that smaller,
shifty
speed, pass catching running back. Now, I'd like to talk to them about. I thought throwing the ball to the back was going to be more of a focal point of this offense this year. So was that more of design? Was that more of who we had and what we thought they did the best? But yeah, so they're still looking for offensive weapons, which they should be. Every team should be. You got to score points.
Sometimes, Dave, you just don't get to it in your playbook.
Yeah, sometimes you don't.
We wanted to do that. We just didn't get to it.
Just didn't get to it. But yeah, I think 8. I'll call it 7 portals. I know along snapper counts, but from what we're looking at, 7 portal additions. We obviously have another portal weekend, or kind of half a week, not even just a weekend. But next week, what does that look like? Once we're seeing it right now. I said it was going to happen. There's still going to be a lot of good players entering the portal once their bowl games are done. Even though a lot of the good ones have opted out, there's still good players that would be valuable additions, and we'll certainly probably see some after the 2 college football playoff games.
Oh, you've got a ton of games between now and Monday, where there's a bunch of decent to good teams playing. So, that part will be interesting. Anything coaching wise, if you were a coach on this team, what would your New Year's resolution be? It's a stupid question, I know.
I would be focused. Maybe my number one thing I would self-scout and want to maybe, I know a lot of these guys have conversations with other coaches. They go watch other people. They've obviously got friends in the business. My number one thing offensively would be, how do we attack the middle of the field better? Yeah. Whether that is with receivers, tight end, it doesn't matter who. I just felt like that was just an area that we, again, either chose not to or didn't feel we had the personnel to attack successfully. It's because if these defense are gonna keep playing these 2 high safeties, just like with running the ball, then there should be space open in the middle of the field.
Right.
So how do we get better at that?
Some of that I think is going to be quarterback related. I don't think that was a strength of Emory's. He did not ever show much comfort working the middle of the field with the ball.
Right. And
the timing was never there. When he did attack the middle of the field, a lot of times it was either late or it was behind, or I had never felt like he was comfortable working the ball in and around the middle of the field.
Right.
All right, let's timestamp the football portion. This timestamp, as always, brought to you by our good friends at Turtles Brew. 0 carbs, 0 sugar, gluten-free, 6% ABV, bourbon-infused sweet tea. They have lemonade tea. They have cherry lime. They have strawberry mint. They have raspberry peach. They have orange vanilla. There's 100 locations in Ohio, over 100 locations in Ohio. Visit turtlesbrew.com for more information and locations. They're in Toledo, Cincinnati, Columbus, expanding in Central Ohio, expanding across the state. A portion of the proceeds go to Save the Sea Turtles. Again, turtlesbrew.com for more information and locations. Let's get to basketball. And this is different because we got one game left, and it's not going to be an easy one Friday. You're coming off a week off. You're playing a pretty good mid-major, maybe the best of the mid-majors that they've played, or right up there amongst the best mid-majors that they've played.
Who are they
in
playing?
Evansville.
Do they still have sleeves on their jerseys?
I don't believe so. I wish they did, because that, look, you want to be different, right? You want to set yourself apart. Evansville, they might not have had sleeves on their jerseys for a decade, Dave. But the first thing I think of when I think of Evansville? Do they still have sleeves on their jerseys? You were different. It gave you I don't know that there was any recruiting advantage to that. Come to Evansville where you wear sleeves on your jerseys.
Yeah.
But it gave you some cachet, some market value. This is all really interesting to me because however you want to slice it, we have seen this team look pretty good against lesser competition. We have not seen them play well in the 2 games that the competition was, high major quality. And they are about to play 18 consecutive high major games coming up starting in a week or whatever, whenever.
Right.
They play Friday and then they play again next Saturday at BYU at 10 p.m. I think the thing that makes it so difficult right now is we have not seen – the only game we've seen with a full roster was Dayton, and that was Jamil's first game. And as you got to this stage where you hoped, okay, we're going to have a couple games in a row where we can work on this, CJ Frederick and Aziz were out against Merrimack. And then Aziz and Simas Lukosius were out against Stetson. Who knows what the availability is going to look like for Evansville. But even if everybody is healthy, I still think we are 4 days away from January 1st. And I don't feel like we know a lot about this team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take this stance. I just have having a pretty good understanding of the Big 12 and what we're about to face. I have major concerns on the defensive end. I look at some of the teams and some of the players, and I'm just like, how are we going to get enough stops? I just don't see, I'm not saying anybody isn't tough, but I just don't see that level that you know it because you've watched it. You watch way more college basketball. I'm the football guy. You're the basketball guy.
Yeah.
But you remember the Big East days. I watch the Big 12 because it's fun. How many possessions against Dayton and Xavier did we really dig in when we absolutely had to and get that stop, whether it was to stop momentum, whether it was to keep momentum for us going. Like, you see a game where you get you're down 14 and you go on an 8-0 run and you're right back in it. But do you have the juice to lock it down one more time? And or does the team then make, have a couple possessions where you let up a little bit, or maybe you don't even let up a little bit, but they're just a really good offensive team, and that lead goes right back up to double digits. So all that hard work is basically null and void.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just not seeing it. And is part of it a mismatch of lineups because of these injuries and ineligibilities and stuff like that? Sure, I have no doubts that is playing a part in this. But guess what? This is the best league in the country. You're not going to have time to figure that shit out anymore.
Right.
So that is where my concern lies, in that I think we got some really nice offensive pieces. I think we can go toe to toe with a lot of these teams, but to date, I haven't seen it against a team that I feel like, even it doesn't even have to be Dayton and Xavier. Like, there's been times that I'm like, what is going on? These guys are just slicing and dicing them, and they shouldn't be, is basically what I'm getting at.
Yeah. So I have the same fears, but for a different reason. My fear is they have some nice offensive pieces, but Houston, adjusted defensive efficiency, number 1. BYU, adjusted defensive efficiency, number 9. Iowa State, number 5. Kansas, number 6. Baylor, number 70, but they're number 3 in offensive efficiency. So that goes a little bit more to your point. Oklahoma, number 7 in adjusted defensive efficiency. I think you're getting my point.
Yeah.
Here's
the easier way to say what we just said. Is a lot of teams in the Big 12 are really good, so they're going to be really good at both offense and defense.
Yeah, but my point being, like, this is a league that is going to grind you out. Like, almost all of the top 10 in defensive efficiency are in the Big 12. Like, I think I just read 6 top 10 teams in defensive efficiency in the Big 12. So scoring, you're not putting up 78 a night. You're not. The tempo's not going to be there. The looks aren't going to be there. It doesn't matter how good. There are going to be nights that Baylor, who's number 3 in offensive efficiency, stinks in this league, because the defenses are going to grind you up and chew you out. So instead, you're looking at what, 70 points a night, 71 points a night? How many of these Big 10 teams are you going to be able to hold on, or Big 12 teams are you going to be able to hold under 70? Is my concern with what I've seen so far. It's saying the same thing you're saying, but in a slightly different way, in that I don't know, like, forget holding them to 78. They're probably going to be able to win the game at 71.
Well, the way you do it normally, I would say, is to create turnovers. But we have seen that this defense has not really been able to do that. I mean, they're not a team that has, for all the talk of tempo and pace and everything, which I think their tempo and pace is more than fine. Like, it's in the low hundreds last time I looked. That is not a correlation, though, to a defense that is speeding you up and forcing you into live ball turnovers and getting easy baskets on the other end. Like, I mean, what was it? I don't remember which game it was, somewhat recently, where I think I don't know if it might have been Dayton, I'm not sure, like, had 2 fast break points.
Yeah, from almost all the Dayton game, they had no fast break points. None.
So, I mean, like, you can't be not good on defense and then also not help yourself by creating some easy baskets for your offense.
Yeah. There's nothing.
So we're gonna play like not great defense, but then also offensively, we're going to go against 5 set defenders pretty much every possession, knowing full well that the defenses we're playing are all pretty good to great. Like,
Who
good,
was
good
that?
luck.
It was. Who did they play before Dayton? Oh,
Was it Merrimack?
no, Merrimack was right after Dayton that ran that funky zone.
Florida Gulf Coast.
I think it might have been Florida Gulf Coast. Who it was one of those teams that like I just had never seen it before. They just didn't send anybody the offensive glass. They took a shot and they all 5 ran back and they were just standing there like, come get some. We're here. Like, you're not running fast breaks on us. And you're not going to see that in the Big 12. But
you have elite athletes that are going to go offensive rebound.
But my point being, the teams that are that high in defensive efficiency aren't teams that are allowing you to just run up and down the floor.
Right.
Like, that's not how it works. They're getting back, they're getting set, and they're locking you up. And I need to see against teams like that because, let's face it, Dayton's awful defensively.
And rebounding, and they hung right. I mean, they don't even really try to offensive rebound. And they
didn't, but they didn't miss. So
true, but that's true.
It's
hey, I had the scout for that game. I saw it a week earlier.
You did. Well, what was the deal? You had to punish them defensively because they were bad defensively, and Cincinnati slashed 38-26? 38% field goals, 26% from 3, and that was making a couple late. Like, offense is going to come and go in this league. Not because you don't have good offensive players, but because half of the teams are elite defensively. Offense is going to come and go. Wes, over this, starting, I think they came back yesterday. You've got one game between yesterday and next Saturday. You're going to have to figure out what the hell you are defensively and what it means. Because, look, man, we talked about it afterwards. That Dayton game, Dave, they could have put X's on the floor and said, we're going there. We're going there. And UC couldn't stop.
I mean, it was really okay, either Deron Holmes does his thing, Kobe Ellis does his thing, or they kick it out to a wide open shooter.
Yeah, but even off the bounce, the reason Deron Holmes and Kobe Ellis got what they wanted is because Dayton didn't have any resistance moving the ball via the pass, via the dribble, and then they'd move the ball via the dribble, get the defense exactly where they'd want it, then they'd throw it to Deron Holmes in an advantageous situation, and he'd get an easy bucket. Or they'd move the defense twice, kick it to Kobe Ellis, he would go downhill, get fouled. The other thing, Dave, you want a New Year's resolution, stop fouling shooters. Yes. Stop sending the other team to the line 30 times a freaking night.
Yeah.
You know how many times you're going to win in the Big 12 if the other team averages 25 free throws a night?
That goes to what I said about, how many times did you really see him sit down and
and guard?
I think the shoe is going to be a tremendous home court advantage. But, home court advantages are only there when on the defensive end. When you because it's a team coming to a new arena.
Right.
Not sure what to expect offensively, especially on the road. Every team on the road is not going to play as good as offense as they do at home.
Right.
But are we going to nullify our home court advantage because we don't really want to guard anybody?
Yeah, I mean, the fouling, it's so crazy too because they're not fouling like Merrimack got them some, but they're not fouling in the bye games. The fouls are perfectly fine in the bye games. And the thing is, if you go look, Dave, at Dayton and Xavier, there wasn't a great foul disparity in terms of fouls called. There was a great foul disparity in terms of number of free throws shot.
Right.
So I don't. You know me, it's Bryant. Yeah, Bryant was the team that sent everybody back. That's yeah. I am not like I don't take it easy on officials. If I think officiating is bad, I will call out the officiating is bad. The only problem I've really had is I felt that they didn't call some things on Dayton's end the same that they called them on Cincinnati's end. But
Right.
Cincinnati fouled a ton. Like
how
not
it
to
is.
say Cincinnati didn't foul. It's to
Right.
say that I didn't think called for some of the stuff they did that was same stuff Cincinnati's doing. But look, man, you can't go for a second.
When you start fouling shooters, they're gonna start hunting that. And
Right.
it's not, like the officials aren't just gonna let it go. So like you've shown for however long period of time, like we're fouling shooters this game. So what is the other team gonna do? They're gonna keep attacking the guys or the positions on the floor that have been prone to fouling the shooters. And so, yeah, it's not fouls just for the sake of fouls, like a old Louisville or an old Houston where it's like they can't call them all. So we're gonna be aggressive with our hands. We're gonna, press up on guys in the half court. This was just straight up, we're fouling guys shooting. So they're obviously going to get free throws. And then it compounds it because then in the other foul you commit, they're now getting free throws. And Dayton's a very good free throw shooting team, altogether. So, yeah, you just, stop. It's very simple to say, but literally stop fouling. But again, that goes back to I'm not sure how great they are defensively, and that's a product of not being great defensively, is you are either out of position or covering for somebody else, and you end up committing more fouls.
And here is the second part of that. Because you are fouling shooters and because you are sending guys to the line, guess who you end up sending to the line far more often than not when you foul guys shooting the ball a lot?
Like their
the other team's best player.
They wouldn't be shooting that much if they weren't good shooters.
They are getting cooked over the last 3 weeks by the other team's best player. Not, hey, that guy got his 19 points, but he did it on 22 shots. No. That guy got 27 on 12 shots and 12 trips to the free throw.
Yeah, what was Kobe Elvis, like 15 of 15 from the line or something like that?
He scored 27 or 28. They gave up 55 points to Kobe Elvis and Deron Holmes. 55 points. And that's after in the shootout giving up 47 to Quincy Oliveri and Davion McKnight.
I mean, the dude the other night scored almost 30.
Yeah, he's a top 5 scorer in the country. But you can't let him score 30 on you.
We still didn't make it hard for him. I think that's the thing we're both getting at is like, yeah, we know that a guy on that level of a team, he's gonna get he's more times than not gonna get his number, but at least make him earn it. Like at least make the guy like totally go away from the game plan and take 30 shots to get there. But they're not doing it, and I think that that's what kept that game fairly close.
Guys are just this is the worst thing you can say about a defense, Dave. The opponent's best player, best 2 players are getting comfortable every night. There's nothing about what Blackman did that was uncomfortable.
Well, think about your mentality. If you're him, if you're Deron, if you're Kobe Elvis, if you're Quincy Oliveri, when you're watching game tape and you're talking about this game from a scouting standpoint, and you're looking at it and going, these guys ain't stopping me. Like, how does the mentality changes? Like, I guarantee when you're a big time scorer, you're the team's best player or the number 1 guy on the scouting report. when you're going into a game and you know, like, man, I know I'm good, but like these guys are going to guard me hard. Like I'm going to have to work for everything that I get in this game. And I'll still probably get it because I'm really damn good too. But these guys are gonna make me earn it. Right now, these dudes are watching it like, boy, this is gonna be fun. Because I'm gonna get mine, and I might get a whole lot of mine because there's not gonna be a whole lot of resistance.
Yeah, like that. You know, I hate to compare eras, but this is more of a player. Like when you were going up against Rashad Bishop and you were a great scorer, you might get your 17 points, but you were going to spend like 2 days in the cold tub, icing down after he got done with you. You were going to get bumped, held, shoved, tripped, tackled. Like there was no mercy. And I don't think any of these guys are walking into playing against Cincinnati and thinking that right now.
Right. I mean, they could be, or they wouldn't. Like, you wouldn't see this abundance of this consecutive string of like team's best player, team's go-to scorer just consistently be getting 20 plus. Like,
yeah.
I mean, this guy's
25
like
plus.
This guy was
been
like
over 25.
Right. And that's what I mean. This guy was the 5th best scorer in the country, and he's only averaging like 22 a game, and he almost dropped 30. So, you know, to give up, you're giving up like 10 to 15 points more per game than what these guys are averaging.
Right. Yeah. There are a lot of things that need to be fixed heading into next Saturday at BYU, who just so happens to be 11th in the nation in offensive efficiency and 9th in the nation in defensive efficiency.
Wonderful.
And they are, have you seen where they are in KenPom?
I mean, I'm assuming they're like in the top 5.
4th. Yeah, they're 4th.
Yeah. I mean, I assume everybody's like in the top 70 or something.
No, there's a couple outside the top 100. Well, no, Oklahoma State might be the worst now. No, Oklahoma State is 93rd, 140 offense, 62 defense. And West Virginia is 129th, 166 offense, 118 defense.
So 129th is the worst, which would have been good for about 3rd in the AAC when we were in there.
Yeah. UCF is 78th. They're 25th in defense. So 159th in offense, 25th in defense. So that's the 12th team is 78.
Yeah.
And then 13 is 92 and 14 is, 120 whatever.
I mean, I'm looking at BPI.
Mm-hmm.
9 teams are in the top 30.
Yeah.
Everybody but West Virginia is in the top 100.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the top 30 in KenPom, Oklahoma, Baylor, Kansas, Iowa State, BYU, Houston, all in the top 30. And then TCU is 36th and Texas is 38th. And Cincinnati's 40.
Yeah. UC is just ahead of TCU and Texas in BPI.
Yeah.
Which is worth looking at because it is a metric that is actually used by the committee.
Yes. I don't know why, but it is.
Unlike I don't know why either. I don't know if it's a different formula than the football one. But they use it, and it likes UC right now. So
yeah, so I like it right now, but I don't know that I fully agree with it at the moment. Look, the reality is, they're going to have to get good real quick because if they don't figure some things out between now and next Saturday, they're staring down 1-5, 0-6 to start the Big 12.
I mean, I guess obviously probably a deeper discussion, but what do you what can you or do you legitimately do to fix it?
The problem for this team, I think, is it needs time to come together, but they're out of time.
Yeah, I mean, as part of it too, the way I kind of look at it is some of the players that you think would help you on that end are probably
don't help
not
you on the other.
Not who you want out there offensively.
Right. And vice versa. The guys that will make you your best offense are going to hurt you defensively. This is the
and that's not a rarity. I mean, there's not a ton of teams with just stacked full of two-way guys.
No, but it's the flip side of, remember how much fun we were having in the offseason with you could go with this lineup for offense, you could go that lineup for defense. Well, you don't get to sub offense defense for 40 minutes every night. It's not football. You don't get to send out your other unit on the other side. So Wes has they got some coaching to do. And some of it is beyond coaching because some of it is just familiarity. Some of it is simply logging enough minutes with these guys on both ends of the floor to have your defensive rotations down pat, knowing, okay, maybe this guy's not as good defending drives to his left. So we're going to have to do a little bit more help side, if they've got the ball on that side of the floor. Or this guy's not good defending post-ups, or, this is not who you want closing out on the backside. There's a lot of things that need to be answered that you can only answer by playing together.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys just not played together a whole lot.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting. They've got their work cut out for them. Here's the other thing. I want to get to this one with you because I'm very interested in your take, because I don't know how. I haven't come up with a different way to answer this question. Everybody says shorten the rotation. They want 7 or 8 guys. Who are you eliminating from the rotation? Day-Day, Jizzle, John Newman, CJ, Stemos, Dan, Vic, Aziz, Jamil.
Right.
Who's out? Not only who's out, but for the people saying get it to 7, you got to cut 2. You're not cutting either of the point guards. All 4 wings are going to play. All 3 centers or bigs, however you want to define them, are going to play. How do you get this below 9?
Well, I mean, yeah. It comes down to whoever is, if you're in that camp, are you just saying it doesn't matter?
Using the old cliche that teams their rotation is cut to 7 or 8 guys by the tournament.
I mean, is that really a thing still?
I mean, for most places it is, but most places only have 7 or 8 guys that they want on the floor.
Well, I just look at it as, okay, if you're gonna take 2 guys out, you have to be giving up something, right? I mean, you're either gonna get worse at offense or worse at defense. You're not. I don't see how taking 2 guys out makes you better at both.
Right.
So, if I took out this guy and this guy, we're better on defense, and that's where our problem is right now. But now we're worse on offense.
Right.
And then if I take out this guy and this guy, now we're still really good at offense, but we're not any better on defense. And I don't know, you can come up with some idea if I take out one of each, maybe we're a little bit better at, we're better at defense, we're worse at offense, but it balances itself out. And so we're just kind of in the same spot.
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, Eric, I don't know how you like. I don't know how you see it otherwise. When everyone's healthy, that this is a 9-man rotation, and you're going to play 9, and then you have Odie and Josh, who both are good, good enough to be.
The other thing too is if they were better on the defensive end, you wouldn't have to worry about them because you'd have more defined roles of like. These are our defensive guys, and these are our bench guys that come in on defense, and these are our bench guys that come in when it's an offense time. But no one's playing good on defense, so like I can't sit here and go,
well, John Newman's playing really good on defense.
Well, he can't make up for 4 other guys that aren't.
Right. That's the problem. Right.
So I can't say like, well, if we just did this, then we'd be better on defense. No, it doesn't work that way because the other guys aren't playing well on defense. So shortening, you're just taking out less bodies to still have the same outcome, basically.
Yeah.
At least defensively, where the way I see it.
And I think defensively, like right now, before he scored 29 last week, people would have said, reduce Dan's minutes because he's struggling. He's in a funk. And Aziz is taking more time to get up to speed than maybe people would have liked. So take Aziz out. Well, if you're going to be good defensively eventually, Dan is a big part of that.
Well, and also here's my 2 cents on that. 1, how do you get out of a funk if you start playing less?
Right.
And 2, how many other guys on this team can get 29 in a night?
Right. Right.
So tell me why he should be playing. Like, okay, he should be playing less. Who's the other guy on the team that can at some point get 29 in a night?
Yeah.
Because it's not like he got 29 because he took 25 shots.
No, he took 12 or 13.
I know he was 5 for 5 from 3 at one point.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, guys in a funk. How do you get out of a funk? Like, it's like I like to play golf. Oh, I'm not hitting my driver good. You know how I'm going to start hitting my driver good by practicing with my driver less.
No,
right?
Dave, you just put it away. Just
I'll
carry the driver.
I'll get better at hitting my driver by not hitting it.
Millie, what? Graybush. That Millie, what? You're going to sit him? The one guy that has shown like he's
no, he was saying Millie can get 29.
Oh, we don't. I mean, without the benefit of the 3-point line.
He hit
one of the ways you get 29 is hitting 4 or 5 threes.
5 for 5 from 3 in the first half.
Right. Look, I think Jamil's going to be outstanding offensively as he gets settled.
Dan's frustrated. I understand fans' frustrations with Dan because
sure.
For the 29, there's the other game where it's like, calm down, you're causing more harm than good right now. But my point is, like, that is very valid and very true. But then, who else? Okay, like you don't play him as much. Like who else has the ability to do what he does? Right. And if you think he's one of your best players, which I do, and one of your most athletic players that matches up with the Big 12 talent, which I also agree with, like he's on that level. How are you you're going to win games by playing him less?
Right.
Like who's guarding Kevin McCullough? If you just reduce Dan's minutes.
Right.
Who's guarding KJ Adams? Who's guarding the guys? Some of these guys on Baylor. Like, okay, so we'll play him less. That'll help. The other 6'9" super athletic dude. Let's play him less.
Well, he's 6'6", 6'7", but
either way, I mean, you get what I'm saying.
Plays
like,
much bigger, right?
Those are the guys that he needs to be matching up against, and if you play him less, who's guarding them?
He made Jamil did make 1 3. Vic made 4, 5 against Georgia Tech.
Has he made one since?
He's shooting like 12% from 3 cents. So that's yeah. I just don't like I don't the answer is you're not getting the 7 or 8 without injury.
They're just in a bad spot because they need the guys they need to play better defense, and there's no answer. There's no easy like the offense can stay where it's at if we insert X playing more minutes because his defense is better. Like that's not an answer for them right now.
Right.
The answer is play better on defense. The question, the harder part is do they have that ability?
Right. Yeah. Train's coming, Dave. Train's coming. Train's coming. Anything else you want to get to on the basketball side?
I don't think so.
All right. We will timestamp that. Brought to you by Turtles Brew. 6% ABV, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, gluten-free, bourbon-infused sweet tea, strawberry mint, lemonade tea, cherry lime, raspberry peach, orange vanilla. Over 100 locations in Ohio. Visit turtlesbrew.com for more information and locations. They are spreading throughout Ohio. So just go to the website and find a location nearest you. I'm gonna read you a text. And I talked about this last night, but I wanted to get your sense on this. You get a lot of Christmas texts. You hear from people you haven't heard from in a while. You're exchanging pleasantries. This came from someone prominent in college sports, somebody that everybody in college sports knows. And they said, "Merry Christmas to you. Hope you're doing well." They followed it up with, "Don't know how you can follow all the recruiting and portal crap. Our business is going to implode, and we're going to have to start over here in another year or so." Like, this isn't down the line. We are a season or two from having to blow this thing up and restructure, reconfigure how all of it is done, because what's happening right now isn't working for the benefit of overall anyone. Your thoughts?
I mean, I don't.
Are you surprised to hear them say a year or so? Like I think
No,
most of us
because
thought like this is coming, but
I think
it's a couple
just
years
the
down the line.
mentality of like the immediacy of everything that's continually been going on, where it's like something needs to happen, or else, and we need to do this quickly, or things are going to get. But this kind of goes back to what we talked about, not last week, maybe the week before, where I'm just like, okay, who's doing all these things? Like, you can tell me that it's getting terrible and that things are gonna explode in the next year or two, or big changes need. Okay, I'm just gonna say, okay, who's in charge, man? Like, things are just gonna crumble for the sake of crumbling, and no one's going to be there to pick up the pit. Like, I don't know. It's just, I think it's hyperbolic. I'm not disagreeing. It might happen, but like,
yeah, my point being, I just have never heard anybody put it in that.
Well, are they?
Specific...
I think people are trying to put it in those terms to force somebody
right.
else to fix it.
I'm starting to get to the point.
It's like it's so terrible. Something has to be done, but we don't want to actually be the ones to do it.
I'm starting to get to the point, and I'm soul searching on what my answer is, because I just don't know. Like who When? Where? What did we learn as kids? Who, what, when, where, why, how? Like how what's the answer?
It's always
But
like it's always like the we should fire this coach, or we should
Yeah.
bench this quarterback, or we should, okay. You don't think X quarterback is good enough anymore, or X coach is good enough anymore. Okay, who are you replacing him with?
Right. Is quarterback Y on your roster?
Like,
Because if not, it doesn't matter.
yeah. Like,
Um
it's a lot of talk to me, but not, again, you're looking to Congress. You're looking to our government to fix a problem that you guys are getting, and I say you guys, I'm talking coaches, league commissioners, the NCAA, athletic directors, like you guys are all making, and ladies are making a ton of money. That's what you're getting paid for, to figure out the problems and fix them.
I guess here's my question. Is ultimately the only answer breaking off football and making football its own thing?
Well, probably because two reasons: laziness, and the other reason, these guys and ladies and what, like, they have not had for I don't know how long the greater good of sports, football, whatever you want to say, in their best interest.
No, it's all making money.
It is about my team, my league, not my sport. And until it becomes about my sport, and I don't know if we can ever get there, because if it was about my sport, the Pac-12 would not have folded. The ACC wouldn't be doing what they're doing. Like, this is not about the sport. It's about me, my team,
the Big
my
East
conference.
would still have Pitt, Louisville, West Virginia, Cincinnati, Syracuse.
So if they don't care about the sport, then yes, we're going. And I say sport, I mean the whole enterprise, but mainly football as the financial driver. Like, unless they change their mindset, then yeah, that's going to happen, because they're going to eventually get to the point where they say, well, let's just go, like, we are all like-minded. We will go do our own thing and we'll figure it out as we go, which I think is an unbelievably terrible idea. But I also don't think that Alabama should be governed the same as Alabama A&M.
And right now it's not.
Well, in football, but
no,
in football,
come on.
They play by the same rules.
They play by some of the same rules.
I mean, they have different
the
financials
and the
different
autonomous 5.
They do, but they're still scholarships are the same.
Yeah.
I mean, now Alabama can do certain things, obviously. Than these, we don't even have to go down to Alabama A&M. Go to Vanderbilt in their own damn conference.
Yeah. Yeah. Go to UAB. That's middle of the road.
Who they literally, their board literally tried to the Alabama board literally tried to end UAB football. However many years ago that was.
Did
succeeded for a couple of years. Because Because they're a threat. Like,
Auburn's not even a threat.
I don't pay a lot of attention to this, because this is, to me, a lot of Boy Who Cried Wolf, like, type of thing, where it's like, this is so bad, but someone else come in and fix it for us, or else we're going to do this. Okay, then, because I don't think anybody should help you, because that would prove your incompetence.
Yeah.
Then go do something else. Quit talking about it and go do it then. But then who's governing you? Who's making up the rules? You guys complained and told the NCAA to put in guardrails about transfers, but now you're saying, no, we need these guys to be eligible, because we're going to sue you. And it's just the hypocrisy of it all. Like, I agree. Like, I've said it how many times. I think guys, as long as another school or program wants to take them, guy, girl, should be able to transfer as many times as they want.
We have talked about this. It's becoming more and more prominent.
I don't like the idea from a purely college athletic standpoint, but I also don't like the idea of restricting someone from doing something that any other student could do.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that we have talked about that is becoming increasingly clear, Dave, is that the NCAA, and now everybody has figured this out. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. I'll mention it again. Everyone has figured out that the NCAA has an illegal rule book. They have created rules for years and years and years and years and years and years that actually, when challenged in a court of law, are illegal.
But here's my question. I agree, 100%. So when they break off, are they going to all of a sudden create all rules that cannot be challenged in a court of law?
Well, no, I think or
they're just going to say like everything is fine. And
no, where this is all headed, the reason that everything is illegal, Dave, is because the other side doesn't have representation.
And they're going to give it to them?
I don't think they're going to have a choice, but they're going to have to deal with the players' union. I think it's inevitable.
There's a lot that goes into that.
I know.
From the players' side that I don't think they understand.
I know. But the only way.
So, like, can I fire my quarterback after 6 weeks if he's not producing because he's now an employee of the university?
I mean, that depends on what constitutes a contract. Is the contract year to year?
If you're a part of a labor union, then you're
my point being, if there is a sum that you can pay him, yeah, you can fire him in week 5 as long as you pay him through week 13. Fire away.
Well, you don't have to pay NFL players through week 13. No, you don't. That is not
you have to pay the rest of their contract.
Not all of them have. That's a guaranteed contract. They don't have that.
Well, that comes down to collective bargaining. In baseball, you do. If you PFA a guy, you're damn sure you got to pay the rest of his contract.
Yeah, you don't have to do that in the NFL. You have injury settlements. But if I just outright release you, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot more that goes into this than I think.
I know.
Anybody really wants to have a true, meaningful, nuts and bolts discussion on.
But ultimately, what I'm saying is, I don't understand how you get to a point where your rule book is legal unless the rules are collectively bargained and agreed upon by both sides.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean, right.
That's why you don't see legal challenges in the NFL, in the NBA, in Major League Baseball. There are two sides. They sit down, they negotiate. The rules are legal because both sides have agreed.
Right. And
the rules.
You have strikes.
In college, only one side has agreed to the rules, and now the other side has finally figured out a court of law will never uphold rules where we didn't get any representation in making said rules. That's all I'm saying.
No, I agree. I'm still at the point where I'm just like, I want to see how you guys.
I do too.
I will use this for till the day I die. You guys couldn't figure out that having a 14 playoff with 5 power conference leagues was going to work.
But was the dumbest shit ever.
But you're going to figure all this out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or having 2 leagues, the SEC and the Big Ten, control everything, with the SEC having one media partner and the Big Ten having another.
Yeah, they basically let the damn Rose Bowl dictate the playoff for the.
For a decade.
This is why I don't really pay much attention to any of it because I'm just like, sure, guys. Like,
yeah. But the more think about it,
right? But now we're getting into the stuff with like Florida State.
That's where I wanted to go next.
And their threat. And so you're talking about $500 million. So you're looking at like private equity companies now just potentially owning college athletic programs. That's going to be sweet. Like,
the Saudis are going to come over at some point.
The Black Rock Bearcats.
Look, if the Saudis think they can make a bunch of money on golf, wait till they hear how much they can fucking make on college football.
That was never really about. That's for a different time, but that was never about making a dime.
You get my point, though.
Yeah, they could actually make money on college football.
They can make money hand over fist on college football.
But yeah, so it's like, and then I'm again not really. I think it's still prove to me that you can really get out of this and find the cash to get out of it and everything. The most interesting part of it all to me though is not the Florida State angle; it's the Notre Dame angle.
Because they don't have to do anything.
But they would if Florida State somehow broke this grant of rights, and which allowed them and however many other teams to exit. Notre Dame certainly is not going to keep a 5-game football schedule agreement with like whoever's left.
Right, Virginia Tech, BC,
and they'll have no one to put their other sports. So that would probably in effect force them into a conference. Which they would be. That's the funny part about this, is Florida State and Clemson and maybe North Carolina, Virginia, whoever, they're the ones like fighting to get out of the ACC. Like, guess who goes above you in any conference expansion if they wanted to be in conference expansion? So you're essentially possibly like cutting off your nose to spite your face by we want out because this conference is so terrible, but this other team over here is probably going to take one of their spots in a place that they would want to be.
I would think like if they went to the Big Ten and said, we'll give you the same, like we play 5 Big Ten games a year.
Right.
Big Ten would do that. We'll play all of our basketball and all of everything else in the Big Ten, and you get 5 Notre Dame games a year. The Big Ten would be like, yeah, great. Awesome.
Right.
We'll make more money. Great.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Now they've taken up a spot.
But they still
Notre Dame essentially takes up a spot in the ACC.
Right. Yeah, because for every other sport, I mean, so they would take a spot in the Big Ten, and the Big Ten would be looking to have one more team. Yeah, or whatever. Like, who knows? But, that's the interesting that's the interesting part to me.
Probably not going to the SEC because Florida wouldn't allow it.
I just don't think the SEC has an appetite for another Florida school.
Right. The only option for Florida State
is another South Carolina school.
The only option for Florida State and Clemson is the Big Ten. And you're right. Notre Dame it's not even close how far Notre Dame is ahead of them on the pecking order.
And Virginia and North Carolina. I mean, Jim Delaney, commissioner of the Big Ten for how many years as a North Carolina grad, his dying wish is probably to have North Carolina in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're the Big Ten, it's like, I'll take North Carolina and Notre Dame. Be pretty damn happy with myself.
Virginia wouldn't be far behind.
No, I think Virginia's right in there, especially for the Big Ten and the SEC as well, because it just gives them another state that they're not in.
Right. And financially, they're kind of a powerhouse.
Oh, yeah. But
there's a lot of money there.
It never ends somehow.
Well, you never. I mean, that's the beautiful part about doing this is you never know what's going to trigger the next thing.
Right.
And you have no idea when it's going to happen either. They're just landmines planted all around the country, waiting to explode.
Yeah.
How long until Texas isn't happy in the SEC, Dave? Because the SEC doesn't have a grant of rights, right?
No, does not.
You think they're going to be happy being 5th, 4th, 5th, most important on?
Hey, but they got a lot more money now.
They do. They don't have the power that wave.
Which I always just laugh about if fans like bragging about that. Like, doesn't help you at all.
Right? You don't have another penny. Nobody's giving you $1.
Your league's getting harder, not easier. Like,
Right?
no, but it keeps our buddy Dan in business. I'm going to see him in a couple weeks.
Love to have him on after the new year.
I'll be out in Vegas, hoping to touch base with him.
Yeah. It's a shame you won't be able to make the KC trip.
I know.
But
that one would probably result in divorce.
It's just me, me, Brent, Keegan, Mo, Taryn, and maybe Vogel.
Oh, it's not who's going; it's the timing of it.
I know.
Like, I would be getting back from Knoxville to get in a car to leave to go to Kansas.
A van down by the river.
Either way, yeah. No, not happening. Do you guys have tickets yet?
It's not my problem.
Yeah, you don't need one. Is everyone trying to get a media credential?
I don't know what they're. I mean, Keegan, I'm sure, and Brent, I'm sure are. Mo can get radio. I don't know what Taryn's plan is. I might ask him that tomorrow. I would assume George could do hits for WLWT. Still, I don't know if they'd allow him to be on air anymore. I don't know if he'd want to. I'm imagining we're going to take a couple cases of Cincy Light with us. So we're staying in like a freaking mansion. So
sounds great. I mean,
yeah.
I will be at Vols Tide Saturday of that weekend.
I think we'll probably have more fun, but I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun.
Buddy, I don't know. that might be for a different
That's an after dark. That's an after dark show.
I don't even know if we're allowed to speak publicly on matters of such shenanigans.
One more time before we go. Thank you to Home Field Apparel for sponsoring us since the start of football season. It has been awesome. I think you have until New Year's. BCJ 23, homefieldapparel.com. Get all of your vintage apparel, all your old school marks and logos and labels. Saw a bunch of people that got the bomber jacket for Christmas that said it was unbelievable. The hoodies are great. The t-shirts are great. The joggers. I've got the quarter zip. Just high quality stuff. 15% off. BCJ 23 at checkout. Hopefully we will see Home Field Apparel back in the fall when football rolls back around, because it's been an awesome partnership and they make some of the best stuff in the country. It's pretty cool to see a company like that go from a little mom and pop t-shirt company to what they've become. And it's been a privilege to be a partner with them through college football season. You got anything else?
USC's backup quarterback had himself a first half.
He did. I'm going to be nice. I'm not going to say anything mean about Louisville. They're having a hard enough time right now. They lost to Kentucky. In football, they got blown out by Kentucky in basketball. Their AD has decided to keep their terrible maybe the worst basketball coach in the history of basketball.
Wow, that's saying something.
Have you really looked what has happened since he's been hired?
No, why would I care to?
It's
they're awful.
I mean, it's fascinating how
Adidas must not be helping the basketball team out as much as they help the football team out.
No, they do. Like, that's the problem. They do. And they are still as bad as any high major program I can ever remember at this point in time. Like that Kentucky game was just like, it wasn't when will Kentucky pull away? Like if Kentucky will pull away, it was like how much? Like when is there going to be that run that just makes this laughable? They're 188th in Ken Palm, 189 on offense, 196 on defense.
It seems terrible.
It's unbelievable how
seems
bad.
Pretty terrible, but you know,
sometimes karma is real, Dave, and all the things that they did to get to where they're at. I don't feel bad at all. Watching that fan base be miserable after their actions over the past year. I've gotten 140 minutes into this podcast. Fuck those guys. That's going to wrap it up for
technically 100 minutes, an hour and 40 minutes.
Or an hour and 40 minutes, yeah. Whatever. Shut up, Aaron.
Get out of here with your math.
An hour and 40 minutes into this podcast. Fuck those guys again. We'll see you in 2024. Thanks to Dave. Thanks to Aaron for an awesome year. All the guests, all the fans, all of you guys for being here along the way. It's been another great year for Bearcat Journal, and let's keep it moving. This is the BCJ podcast, brought to you by the Holy Grail. Thanks to Team Ticker. Thanks to Turtles Brew. Thanks to Home Field. Everybody else that supported us. We'll see you next year. Right here on the BCJ podcast, brought to you by BearcatJournal.com.